Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another patch notes, thoughts and analysis video for Eve Echoes. Today is January the 20th, 2 days until I turn 32, Lord help me, and we have a new patch landing. There's quite a few interesting bits and pieces to discuss in this one, so I thought I would spend a bit of time with you guys today just going over those patch notes, explaining what they mean to the best of my ability, and giving my own thoughts, opinions and analysis on how that will actually change the game going forward. Now, as per usual with these sort of patch note analysis videos, there's nothing at all flashy on screen here. It's just going to be the text of what you see on the patch notes themselves as I read through them. So if you do want to treat this just like a podcast and put it down beside you while you're doing something else, do feel free to. You won't be missing out on anything. Now, there is a bit to cover, so I'm just going to do my usual messages, then we'll jump right in. So, if you do enjoy this video, please let me know by hitting like on it, sub to the channel for all things Eve Echoes, ding that notification bell to never miss an upload, and let me know in the comment section down below what topics and what videos you want to see me make in future. Beyond that as well, if you do want to go the extra mile to help support this channel, not only do we have a Patreon, which I'm currently in the process of revamping, but we do also have a Redbubble merchandise store that has all kinds of crazy designs for t-shirts, hoodies, laptop skins, stickers, notebooks, you name it. Check it out, have a look and see if there's anything there you enjoy, and do let me know if you've got any cool ideas for some merch as well. I'll see if either my very talented wife or someone else can then mock that up into an actual design, and we'll see how we go. Anyway, enough about all of that, let's talk about the January 20th patch notes. So, let's have a look. New features, optimized audio files for lower RAM usage. Now, this isn't particularly a problem for me. I'm sitting here on an Asus ROG Phone 3, which has 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's actually more than any computer I've ever owned. So that for me is not a problem, but I'm always up for anything that means lower end devices can still play the game and get a better experience out of it. Now, if you're using one of those phones that has maybe only 1 or 2 gigs of RAM, I know that a lot of them aren't necessarily supported, but you can get by with an APK download. This is going to make your life a little bit better, just because you're not going to have so much chugging trying to play the audio files. It's I'm up for anything that means more people, regardless of what device they're playing on, can actually get a good experience out of this. Custom art assets for the winners of the Corporation video contest have been added. This I am very excited about because I am one of those winners. I think Catskull came in 7th place on this, so we've got some cool banners that are going to be added to any Corporation stations that we deploy and to the banners around any gates in relevant systems for that. It also means that we will get the Corporation artwork as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how this actually looks in-game once the server comes back up later today and I can jump in and actually have a look. Number 3, enlarge to the tappable area of the star map filter button for easier access. Now this, again, is actually one I'm really happy with. It's such a small, simple change. If you're on the star map, you've got that little pie chart that you can change what you filter, whether you're filtering by sovereignty or the amount of capsules that were destroyed in the last 24 hours, that kind of thing. Ultimately, that's a really small button. For someone like me that has remarkably fat thumbs, it can be quite difficult pinpointing exactly onto that icon. So making it a bit bigger, I'm all for that as well. It's easier access, and if any of you have even fatter thumbs than I do, God help you, again, it's a nice positive change for us all. Whenever an outpost is destroyed, all assets within will automatically be transferred to a nearby non-nullsec NPC station. This is, again, a really nice little change. We've got a lot of, with sovereignty coming in, we've got a lot of outposts, things like the Capsuleer outposts and citadels, etc., now being built and deployed in space in that ever-ongoing war for sovereignty. So it's nice to see that they are taking into consideration what happens if all your assets are destroyed. Now, we've talked about this before. It has been mentioned in the past. Basically, what happens here is if someone destroys your outpost, anything that you had docked there, so you may have some ships docked there, or you may have modules or skins or anything like that in the hold on that particular outpost. If it gets destroyed, all of that stuff gets dumped to a nearby non-nullsec NPC station, and you have to pay a releasing fee. I think it's about 15% of the total value. So it's a little bit, naff that you do have to pay to recover your own stuff, but you know what, that's kind of the point. You can't just have it dumped to the next station, or what really is the downside for the fact that you lost that outpost. It's important to make sure that you do defend that outpost, because otherwise you're going to have to spend 15% of the value of everything in it, which doesn't sound like much until you start looking at someone who maybe has, I don't know, 5 different faction frigates and one of each of the other frigates in the game, plus several destroyers and a Cinnable parked in a particular a station. At which point 15% becomes an awful lot, but hey, there we go, it's nice to know what actually happens there. Now, number 5, when capsuleers anchor a structure, they have to keep at least 5,000 kilometers away from other structures to successfully anchor. Now, this, again, to me is always going to be, that makes sense. That makes sense to me, because you don't want to have 2 stations right next to each other, literally on top of each other. I don't know anyone who would actually do that anyway. I suppose there's the advantage that if one of them comes under attack, you've got 2 stations firing on each other, and people can undock from the other one. There are actually a couple of systems in EVE, I'm trying to remember which one it was. It's in the Bad Poison mission, you dock at one of them, where there is actually a station in visible range as you undock. Literally, as you undock, it looks almost like it's one big station, but it's actually 2. They are 5 kilometers like away from each other, though. Here, 5,000 kilometers, that's a much bigger difference. I think actually that's not dissimilar to, again, if you undock from Jita, you can see another station in the distance there. But it just means that you have to actually spread out any of your capsuleer outposts or your corporation citadels and that kind of thing. Spread them out so that they're not literally on top of each other and able to defend each other, because otherwise you just drop 3 of them and good luck breaking through that. Now, the size of the corporation avatar logo has been slightly adjusted. Good. This is a useful change. I know this is partly to do with us getting the what's it called, with the custom artwork being added as well, that now fits a different shape and size. But the size of the corporation avatar logo has been slightly adjusted. It's just a visual difference. If you open up the corporation tab, you'll be able to see it there. I like it, actually. I think it just looks a little bit nicer. Number 7, it's no longer possible to use autopilot to enter a capsuleer outpost if you do not have the permission to access it. This, to me, was one of the weirdest bugs ever. So we know that in the past, if you've been on autopilot, historically, autopilot used to break through warp scrambling and warp disruption. Even if you were locked down with those, you could still activate your warp drive if you were on autopilot and push through. What I didn't realise is that you could actually dock at capsuleer outposts even if you didn't have permission to, as long as you were on autopilot. So you'd kind of autopilot to a station that you couldn't dock at, log back into the game, and suddenly you're docked there with everyone going, how the hell did you gain access? Ultimately, I don't know. I don't know how that worked. Perhaps autopilot just completely screws with the station's computers when they arrive and you just get full-on permission or whatever. I'm talking in the backstory and lore here, for crying out loud. But ultimately, yes, that's an important fix. I think it's interesting that they've put that there in the updates, not in the bug fixes, but hey, there we go. That means it was possibly intentional at one point. Number 8, the time needed for contact transaction auditing has been reduced. Can I get a huzzah and an alleluia there? Certainly, I think that auditing times are one of those things that a lot of people, they've caused a lot of problems with a lot of people. I understand why audit timers are a thing in EVE Echoes. They did say, the developers did say that audit timers at the start of the game would be pretty bad, but they would get better with time as the system learnt to recognise what is a legitimate transaction and what is more based around RMT, real money transactions. That's, your gold farming sort of thing, those ISK spammers that you see around Jita, etc., that kind of thing. So it makes sense that an audit is a thing. I think they are a necessary evil. I don't like them any more than the next person, but certainly having ways to ease those is always going to be a good thing, and it's nice to see they're beginning to relax those audit timers now. So the time needed for contract transaction auditing has been reduced. This is transactions done directly through the contracts, which you need to be in a mega clone to use anyway, so it kind of makes sense to reduce those ones down because you're a paying client. Number 9, added a daily limit for gifting contracts, value difference over 150%, which can be viewed in the contract interface details. Again, this is kind of a benefit and a curse. On one hand, it's nice to see that they're referring to these things as gifting contracts. It's something that we can see, that they are understanding that there are plenty of times where someone wants to just send you something for free. When I was doing videos before Fulmination, and obviously someone said, hey, can you do a video on something like the Macariel? I'm going to have to sit through, like I did for the was it the Rattlesnake? I can't remember which video it was. I think it actually might have been the Healer. Where I had to sit through literally like 10 days worth of audit timers to get that through, because obviously I wasn't paying for it and I was sending it back at the end. It's a gift contract. So it's nice to see here that they are reducing the audit timers for gifting, but at the same time there is a daily limit for those to stop RMT abusing that. Again, interesting to see how they actually handle all of this. If you follow them on Twitter, if you follow the developers on Twitter and you see the ban notice every week, my goodness, the amount of accounts that these guys are actually banning regarding real money transactions is astonishing. It's a big problem, and it takes a lot of effort to deal with. So yeah, audit timers, not fun, but they are still helping the situation. Number 10, improved the display of the standing tag. Again, this is useful. This is the, as far as I'm aware, this is how you are standing with, I think it's with the corporations and sovereignty and stuff like that, which is going to be always useful and nice to have there. Number 11, added notifications when buying or selling with prices too high or too low. Okay, again, this is to do with RMT and that sort of auditing. It's to help you try and avoid hitting an audit. Getting those notifications when buying or selling just lets you know that perhaps you might want to increase your prices, or you might want to lower them if you're way outside of the limit. There are times when you do want to sell higher than perhaps the market is offering otherwise, but it's just a way of saying this might be a bit unrealistic. You are probably going to get an audit if you go ahead with this. Do consider changing that price, which again, I'm all for. It's being a bit more open and honest about how that auditing process works. Number 12, fixed an issue where drones which attacked players didn't display criminal timers when relevant. I didn't shoot him, officer. It was my drone, honest. Look, I know Eve's backstory has things called rogue drones, but they're not the ones in your drone tubes, no matter how much you plead to Concord that it was the drone's honest officer. No, I didn't even know this was a thing. How did I miss that? That there were times when you could go out with a worm or whatever, attack someone with just the drones and you wouldn't get a criminal timer? That's amazing. I'm a little bit sad that I missed out on that, but hey, good to see that that has been fixed. 13. Now commodities like structure components, data cores, barrels of water, etc. can be put into the structure hold of industrial ships. Ha 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 ha! Huzzah! The bestower actually has a use now. Let's be honest, the bestower basically existed just to get your corporation citadel or your capsuleer outpost to the point that you were anchoring it. There was no point outside of that, and it really annoyed me actually when I did the first video back in the final test where we anchored our capsuleer outpost, that you couldn't put things like the modules, the reprocessing modules and that in the structure hold. It's like, but that's a structure. That's clearly a structure. Not only are you able to now put those into the structure hold, you can also put things like data cores, the structure components, which is nice. That's things like the actual blocks and that they used to build them, barrels of water, etc. That's really cool. That gives industrial ships, like the bestower and that, a bit more reason to actually exist, and hopefully we'll see a few more of those being built and used. Number 14, added a notification prompt when a new advanced tutorial quest is available. These are the ones where, like, I think it's about advanced tutorial 5 or 6, you get a little pop-up that you go into a mission where you have to use an afterburner and stuff like that. That's pretty cool that you actually get a proper notification saying that's ready. You just dock up at a station, activate that, and it'll show you how your afterburner works and other things like how turret tracking works. They're cool little videos and that, and I actually really quite enjoy, not videos, cool little missions, and I actually really enjoy that. It gives a nice visual hands-on approach to how those modules work, why you might want to use them, that kind of thing. So having a pop-up that says, hey, this is ready, just means that hopefully more folks are actually going to notice those and give them a try. Number 15, improved the navigation bar on the main interface. Now it displays different colours based on the security rating of your current system. This is awesome. I really liked the fact that when they updated the star map in the recent patch, you now see as the lines are going through the different things, every star system is either green, yellow or orange, or red, and it kind of slides through those quite nicely. It's a good spectrum of colours that shows you the security rating. Now even when you're not on the star map, the top left of your screen where it tells you what system you're in, like, you know, Pater, Easter, Hymatar, that kind of thing, that will now display in green to show that you're in high sec, and it will change through different colours as you move out to low sec, so at a quick glance you can easily spot whether or not you're in a dangerous system or whether you are still in high sec, that kind of thing. And again, anything that just gives you better information and clarity up front is always a good thing as far as I'm concerned. Number 16, custom corporation banners made in the corporation video contest have now been added to the game. Yay! Can't wait to see the cat skull ones flying off the sides of our corporation citadel and our gates. That is going to be really cool. I'll put a screenshot on, if I remember, during editing. I'll put a screenshot up now to showcase what those actually look like when Joseph sent me the details. I'm looking forward to actually seeing those flying in-game. Very, very cool. 17. Improves the process of directly fitting modules to ships. Now you can only leave a station after completing the fitting process. This is, if you may have spotted this sometimes in some of my previous videos, where I do unequip or re-equip something in the fitting window. With my lag, it can be atrocious how slow that can be sometimes. I can hit, actually, I've tried this and it does work, and it causes all kinds of bugs and problems. You can hit unfit and then immediately hit fit again, and it kind of gets stuck. It takes a long time for it to do that, at which point I can close the fitting window and hit undock. And when I undock, I kind of have a module that just refuses to activate, despite the fact that I've got enough power grid, etc. to actually activate it. Now, I thought that that was just my lag. Apparently that does look like it is a little bit of a bug in the server's back, in the game's back server. So for me, again, it's a fix that just stops you getting into that awkward situation. It's like there used to be that bug where if you were fitting stuff, you could undock and none of your modules appeared on screen. I haven't seen that in a while. Maybe, you know, I've just not been unlucky enough to have it. But I've not seen that in a while, so any little bug fixes like this, especially regarding fitting, are always nice. There's nothing worse than having a call to arms undocking in the ship that you've just refitted for that particular PvP encounter, only for your ship to have no modules, or some of those modules aren't activating properly, etc., and you're in the middle of a firefight and unable to dock back up. Great fun. Anyway, glad to see that sorted. Added a purchase a mega button to the bottom left corner of the skill screen for alpha players. I know some people will complain about that, like, oh, you're pushing me to buy a mega. Well, yes, this is a subscription-based game. You should really be running at least basic a mega once you're hitting Tech 7 or higher. Not for the skill point gain, but for the fact that you can now access all the advanced skills, and all the some of the ships that you could not get otherwise either. Those advanced skills can make a humongous difference. Once you're hitting Tech 6, Tech 7, you'll notice that things like destroyers and even some of the cruisers start having advanced cruiser command or advanced destroyer command. You cannot train that as an alpha clone. You should be going up to Omega. It's $5 a month to unlock the full content of the game. Ultimately, yes, you can still buy it with ISK, buy Plex with ISK and then use that to buy your month of Omega. It's still pretty cheap, I think. You know, it's not a huge amount of ISK comparatively. EVE Online, I think, is still a lot higher in that cost. But again, I think anything that sort of prompts you there to try and upgrade to an Omega clone is, again, going to be a good thing. I know some people will complain about the clutter and being prompted to spend real money or, you know, buy Plex or whatever, but I think that is an important part of the game. Now, 19, improved the arithmetic behind market price estimates of items. Huzzah, thank goodness, because some of those were bizarre and horrifically off-kilter. It's nice to see that they are, again, even if I don't have actual details of exactly how that arithmetic works, it's nice to see that the developers are at least considering that their system is not perfect, and they do need to update it to make sure that people are avoiding audit timers where possible, and that the market is updating accordingly to new prices and fluctuations. Of course, the thing with the EVE Echoes market is, until we are all at Tech 10, until there's a whole bunch of us at Tech 10, the market is going to continue to destabilize and restabilize and destabilize and restabilize. We saw it when the first wave of people hit Tech 7. There was a big wave of destabilization of the market, and it just about managed to sort of restabilize itself. Then people started hitting Tech 8, and again it went all over the place, and it's beginning to stabilize again after that. Every time there's a big patch that changes things that may be market related, like for example the Dead Space loot, that of course impacts the market, and there's a minor fluctuation that then stabilizes. But again, once people start hitting Tech 9, that market is going to completely destabilize all over again, as all the Tech 9 loot is suddenly added to it. And again, when we hit Tech 10, so it's only once a good amount of people have hit Tech 10 that that market is going to properly stabilize, and those estimates will then actually become a little, you know, even more accurate. But it's nice to see that they are trying to handle that as we're going towards that point. Number 20, it's now possible to enter Capsuleer outposts with a one-way standing setting. Okay, I think I need to look into more about these this whole standing thing. I assume that's your friendly standing and hostile standing with a particular corporation, etc. That someone, or in this case, a particular player, that a player can add you to friendly, and you can head in. But if you're friendly to them and they're not friendly to you, how does that work? And I think that's what we're getting at here. That if the Capsuleer says I'm friendly, but I, as the pilot, have that capture layer set to hostile. That's a one-way standing setting. Does that mean I can dock, or does it have to be the other way around, or can you dock under any of those circumstances, even if they've got me as hostile but I've got them as friendly? I hope not that way, because otherwise I'm just going to add everyone to friendly and dock at all of your capture layer outposts, even if you've set me to hostile, and I'll just laugh at you from the local chat. You can now share solar system in star map to channel. Huzzah! That's, again, a really useful one, especially if you're like in a fleet engagement where you're talking about how to get people to where they need to be. Obviously, with us based in Minmatar space, Enrail is one of those systems that constantly gets gate camped, but there are occasionally systems around it that get gate camped, and sometimes we want to all rendezvous at a particular point, and it may not be that we're all operating in one fleet. So being able to link from the star map straight into Alliance chat of which system we are going to rendezvous in, or which system we are moving the capture layer outpost to, or Corporation Citadel to, that kind of thing, or can someone come and help me please, I'm struggling in this system, doing a storyline encounter or something. Perhaps you've like lost your ship in a storyline encounter, you've come a couple of jumps away, so you're not in system anymore, you're not able to link it via the three little lines that allow you to link directly the system that you're in. Now you can link distant systems as well. People can then tap on that link and autopilot to it directly from chat, which is really cool. I like that. 22, the wallet has been optimized to show market transaction, add specific item names, item quantities, and order locations. Awesome. This, again, is a really nice little change. It just means that your wallet is giving you more information. So if you see that some money came in or went out, it's not just that, oh, it came from the market. It's like, well, okay, but what from? What sold? What did I buy? What kind of thing like that? That's a really cool addition. It just means that you can manage your finances that little bit better by looking at the wallet's backlog and actually working out, okay, yes, that's where I spent this, that's where I did that. Very useful little change. Small change, but useful. 23, unsent messages are now saved for next time. Yes, yes, thank you. There's nothing worse than starting to type a message when you're on autopilot, only for you to jump through a gate, and it does that whole thing of the keyboard disappears and the back disappears and your message is now gone. You've typed out a massive message, you've gone to hit send, but you've jumped through that gate a little bit too fast. That message has now gone. So here we can see that unsent messages are now saved from next time. Huzzah, I'm enjoying that one. That will be nice, especially since I do a lot of talking whilst on autopilot. 24, added the function of saving personal locations, corporation locations. Saving corporation locations requires corporation locations permission to use. And this is basically bookmarks, so that's really cool. Now this means that you can save a personal location, very useful for PvP and for escapes, that kind of thing, because it means you can do that whole point of, I'm sitting at gate X, I'm going to try and warp towards point A, but I'm going to absolutely neuter my capacitor first so that I'm not able to warp the full distance. You then warp part way, and you then add that as a bookmark, as a personal location. This now means that if you are being chased, or you're having issues with things like gate camps, etc., you can jump into a particular point. It means if you're very clever, you can actually set a distance away from a gate of, like, say, 200 kilometers, so you don't have to warp, like, again, for us going through Enrail and knowing that that gate to Kenora gets constantly gate camped, I would like to know that I can set a bookmark at 200 or 300 kilometers away from the gate. I can warp to that point, see if it has been gate camped. Oops, close down the details there. I can see if that has been gate camped, and then I can either make my approach, or I can like warp back to safety without being part of it. That to me is a huge little boost there. I'm very happy with the inclusion of bookmarks, and I know a lot of people are going to be happy with that as well. At some point perhaps I'll do a video on exactly how to use those, and just showcase what kind of use they actually do have, because I know they confuse quite a few people. They confused me a lot when I first started EVE Online, but they are a very useful tool in certain situations. They don't fix gate camping. I mean, a bookmark's not going to save you if you jump from Kenora into Enrail and you're immediately inside a bubble. It's like, oh yeah, I've got a bookmark 300 kilometers away, I still can't warp to it. But again, it's a topic for another video perhaps. 25, updated the resources and tips for the free training service, free training interface. Hang on, I need to reread that. Updated the resources and tips of the free training interface. I'm assuming this is the whole thing of when you've got free skill points and you're using those to actually dump into particular things, into particular skills in order. I need to check that one once the servers come back up live and find out what that one actually means. Again, this is one of those really vague patch notes. Joseph, please, if you're watching this, can we have slightly more detailed patch notes? There are sometimes ones like this that just confuse the ever-living daylights out of me, and that one is very much a confusing one. Updated the resources and tips of the free training interface. I have no idea. I have no idea. Your guess on reading this is as good as mine. Once the servers are back up, perhaps we'll come back and add into the comment section down below exactly what this one actually means. So do check the comments if you want to find out what number 25 actually is. Number 26, moved the login reward button to the event interface. Awesome, so that's one less little red dot to clear. You can just go into the events and then there it is. There's your daily login rewards on that. It just, again, it streamlines the station interface a bit more. I'm all for that. It means it's going to be a bit confusing at first. I can imagine a lot of folk are going to log in today and go, where are my daily login rewards? Why can't I claim my daily login rewards? And we're going to have a lot of people saying, check the events tab. So this is one of those, sorry, my voice is really going today. This is one of those that I think it's important to check the patch notes for this kind of thing. But yeah, if you can't find where your daily login rewards, they are now hidden under the event interface. 27, added additional star map statistics. Ooh, I need to check out exactly what those are as well and possibly update my star map video and do another one on exactly how the star map works and all the crazy different functions of it. I am hoping that we can actually get that integration that they've hinted at with the star map and the Capsuleer's Guide to New Eden, or Concord's Guide to New Eden, depending on which translation you see. Basically, if you go into Concord's Guide to New Eden, you can actually have a look at the backstory, in inverted commas, of each of the different regions of space. So if you want to know what cache actually is, or what venal actually is, why impasse is called impasse, that kind of thing, you can open up the Condor's Guide to New Eden, and you can check actually bits of cool backstory there. If you go into the star map and tap on a particular system, a particular region, it has a bit where it's got the name, and if you tap on the name it says function not available. Or function coming soon, or something like that. I'm hoping that is something that we do get soon, and we just link those two up, so you can tap on that and it'll tell you the backstory of whatever region you're in. Additional star map statistics, even things like just getting the proper range across a particular star system would be really nice. Understanding what the difference between, the distance, sorry, between Gate A and Gate B actually is. To me, that would be a nice little thing to add. Again, I think I'm probably going to have to update my how to use your star map video with all of these cool new functions that are getting added. So those are the new additions. Let's have a look at the fixes. Number 1, fixed an issue where the conflict in the permission of the corporation office resulted in the inability to rent the corporation office in the corporation outpost of other corporations within the alliance. That's a word soup right there. Fixed an issue where the conflict in permission of the corporation office. Okay, so I think this is where some people might have the ability to, like, change a corporation office, and then the alliance has settings that means you can't change it. So if you've got all kinds of issues like that, it can cause a bit of a screw around. It's a bug fix. It's a bug fix that means permissions now will work correctly. When acquiring ancient remains using planetary interaction, each launch will only have 24 hours of extraction time. Ancient remains will not be obtained after 24 hours. This means if you launch planetary production into space, you do need to go and collect it within 24 hours or your ancient remains disappear. I mean, who's not collecting within 24 hours of launching PI? Seriously, even in high-sec, what's the point in launching? I suppose people might, like, accrue up an entire week's worth of PI, then jump out there with something like a mammoth, or well, not a mammoth, with something out, you know, some big ship there that's going to take a load of that and then bring it all back in one go. I don't know, maybe? Do people do that? Honestly, do people do... Anyway, fix the conflict between player name and rich text that could cause an error in share links. This is where I think people are using some more of the unusual characters. Shall I say, I don't want to say, you know, like non-English characters, because some of them are, you know, like Russian Cyrillic, and there are some sort of Asiatic symbols in there as well, whether that's Korean Hangul or Japanese or whatever. And some people like to mix and match those to create cool shapes in their name. There's one particular person in Catskull who I'm thinking of at this point. Slap, I'm calling you out on this one. I love that your name has those little circles, etc., but my goodness, you are difficult to link. If we ever need to sort of send something your way, that's a difficult name to deal with. But hey, this means, again, it's just a bug fix that means those don't cause errors when you click on them. Awesome. Bug fixes. I like bug fixes. Finally, fix the problem where some corporations could not open the Alliance interface due to the Corporation Outpost. Really? Corporation Outposts were stopping people opening up the Alliance interface? Again, cool little bug fix. Nice to have that all sorted. Anyway, that is all of our patch notes. So what am I excited about there? Well, I'm excited to see what these changes to the star map are. I like the fact that we've got the changes there to things like the wallet and various different audit timers. We're getting a bit more open and honesty about how the audit system works, and it's clear that NetEase are looking to adjust that and make it as pain-free as possible. I know it can be very painful at the time being, especially if you are sort of more of a marketeer, if you're trying to be a trade prince in EVE Online, in EVE Echoes, sorry. I know that those audit timers can be an absolute ache, an absolute pain in the backside to deal with. It's nice to see that they are looking after those. Otherwise, of course, I am very excited to see what our corporation video contest art assets look like actually live in the game. I can't wait to orbit around a gate that has my own banner flying off it. That's so cool! Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. Which of the new features are you most excited about? Do any of them sort of irritate you? Is there something that's still annoying you that the developers don't seem to have addressed yet? Let me know politely in the comment section down below. And of course, do check out the EVE Echoes community official Discord. There is a suggestion channel there, and it's worth noting that the politer suggestions are likely the ones that get read and actually dealt with faster than the ones that are sort of rude and aggressive. So try and be nice. The devs are clearly trying to improve the game constantly and consistently. You may disagree with the directions things are taking. You may think that they haven't added something quickly enough, but I think, you know, ultimately what we need to do is come together as a positive community and talk in a positive and constructive way about what we need to do going forward. I'm not saying that we can't mention negative things. Like, yes, you can say, for example, with the gate camp bug recently, it's frustrating as all hell that the gate guns aren't working properly. This is a bad situation that we're in. Please, can you fix it? But sitting there going, oh, NetEase, you're all motherless dogs. You've got no idea what you're doing. Rah, 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 rah. That doesn't help anyone. So can we be positive, constructive, give suggestions, and look to make this game even better than it currently is? Anyway, folks, I look forward to reading your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, finding out what you're most excited about. Love reading through those at the end of these things. Do let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, thank you for listening right the way to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!